Mic works for you. You're pretty loud too, I don't think you do.
All right, well, thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Daniel Benoit, from Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley area. It's a very beautiful area, and it's, for those who are not familiar, it's the western side of Virginia. Of course, we're pretty much in a kind of a salad bowl. It's surrounded by the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Allegheny Mountains, and I spent a lot of time in the woods. My main research area, my main area where I like to explore is part of the George Washington National Forest. Maybe perhaps some of you guys are familiar with that. But before I really get into anything, one thing I want to make mention, just from listening to some of the other stories, I'm listening to the experiences and what the others have observed and witnessed. There's a lot of the information collaborates and relates to some of the experiences I've had, and along with some of the stories and the reports that I've gathered over the years. Now, I do classify myself as a Bigfoot researcher, but also a wildlife researcher. And usually when I tell people this, I'm a wildlife and Bigfoot researcher. Wildlife, number one, because if you're out there looking for Bigfoot, forget about Bigfoot. The reason is, people neglect about our known wildlife. Wildlife, because there's so much more responsible for a lot of what we come across, but people are just not aware. They're misinformed or just not experienced with nature. I've had a lot of encounters with, some close, some distant with black bears. We have a lot of bears in Virginia. I know you guys have them down here. And, I've witnessed and observed other wildlife. People don't believe that we got mountain lions. I've seen them. We do have them in the mountains. There's been other witnesses and reports. I got blogs, for these species. People come in and report off my blog. People learn about me and they want to share information, and I'm when they share information with me, I put it out publicly, because I think the public should know, regardless if you want to believe that they exist or not. Mountain lions are very elusive animals. Talking about elusive animals, I'm not going to talk about. You guys are here to listen for Bigfoot, so I'm going to get into Bigfoot. So you guys will have to follow me. I'm very random with the way I talk. So now with Bigfoot, again, when I was talking about how a lot of the information I'm listening, and again from other reports and stories from others over the years, I listen to the details and everything that people experience. Now with me, on the other hand, you're going to hear me talk about wildlife again, because when it comes to wildlife, there's one particular species that I love to compare Bigfoot to, because a lot of people ask me, well, I want to get involved with Bigfoot research. What do I do? I said, first of all, you want to know and learn and study your known species. Learn about what exists and inhabits, in your general area. Pick an area, get familiar with the terrain, get familiar with the wildlife, their tracks, etc., etc. I could really break it down and get into a lot of other details. I'm not going to, because I'll make you guys all fall asleep. But so with that being said, all right, study your known wildlife, etc., etc. When you go out there looking for Bigfoot, you want to, again, don't look for Bigfoot. Think about wildlife. Look for known species. Look for their tracks. All right, and if you're familiar with them, when the time comes when you come across something that's a little different, you're going to know it's not this or that or that. Now with other stories and reports, along with my experiences, I've had several different encounters, but there's two I'll make mention of. My first one was back in 2014. Now keep in mind, I wasn't alone. It was during one of our ECBRO camping expeditions. And for the record, the ECBRO, we're the East Coast Bigfoot Research Organization, and we're mainly out of Virginia. We have others in other states that do report with us with some of their findings. But one of my observations, back at my encounter in 2014, again, it was during our expedition, and we weren't expecting for anything. It was, but it was May 3rd of 2014, and I think it was our second day out there. But we camped for at least a week at a time. But it was our second day out there. We took hike on foot, and there's a lake, a small little lake in the area. We had all gone. There were 6 of us together. We all gone down to the lake, And we paired up in twos and spread out around the lake, just kind of listening. You know, a couple of us had parabolic microphones, you know, listening to the surrounding area. A couple of us decided to give vocalizations. Yeah, we got a response. The one young lady that was with us, we radioed down to her because she does a really great vocal. Anyone who's ever watched Finding Bigfoot that's familiar with Bobo, she was basically the female version of Bobo's vocal. She was real good. Well, after her vocalizations, you know, after she gave off her long howl, we all heard pretty good considering the distance that we were at. Probably about 10 to 15 seconds later, right away, we got an immediate response that almost sounds similar to hers. It was a little different, but we did get a response. And then, of course, after, you know, spending so much time around this area, this lake, trying to listen for other sounds, you know, it was kind of dead and quiet. So we all decided to regroup and head back on foot. We had about a mile hike back to the camp. Well, while we were walking away from the lake up on the gravel forest road, because most of the forest roads out there are gravel, there's some paved. Well, we were kind of walking in a single file line, and you know, at this particular time, this is just after midnight. And of course, you know, it's late. We're hiking back. We've got our headlamps on. And we're noticing some eye shine, you know, some deer on the side of the road, you know, and the deer, it was kind of odd because the deer wasn't easily spooked, you know, they were just kind of nonchalantly just going about their business. I mean, probably as close as from me to you, you know, that's how close some of these deer were from us. Well, again, after they disappeared into the darkness, you know, we continued up, and not long after observing deer, something else catches our attention. Well, me to begin with, because I'm in front of everybody. And I'm sure, I don't know, maybe they have them down here, but sometimes in different parts of the national forest, they have these little yellow signs on trees in random places. Basically, all they say is, you know, no motor vehicles beyond this point. And some of the areas they have them in, I don't see how you can get a vehicle in there anyway. But so anyway, what captured my attention, my light's reflecting off of something, and it wasn't in focus right away. But then all of a sudden, I'm staring at it. And all of a sudden, it becomes, there's a set of eyes. I didn't catch it being eyes right away until it actually blinked at me. And it was sitting kind of low. And my buddy Tracy was right behind me. He was the next one right behind me. I called him up, Tracy. I said, we got eye shine. He comes up beside me, and he's seeing what I'm seeing. And I won't use language that I used at the time, but I asked him, I said, is that eye shine? No, I said, is that a mountain lion? Because that's what I thought right away, because there were large yellowish eyes sitting kind of low, and again, immediately I thought it was a mountain lion. Just the first thought that came across my head. Well, Tracy got the others to come up here and said, guys, we got eye shine. You know, we didn't know what we were looking at because it was dark. All we were catching was just the eye shine. So when we all regrouped, we got up to the spot because whatever that was kind of disappeared and went into the woods. But we all got up into that particular spot, and we're all looking in there, and all of a sudden we see it again. Probably about 40 feet, between 30 and 40 feet from us. And at the time, we didn't realize, right there on the edge of that forest road, it actually sloped down gradually, about several feet. And what we were looking at was it was kind of small, and we still only observed the eye shine. And the one thing we noticed, it was kind of doing this swaying motion side to side. And we're watching this and observing this, and I don't know, my mind's kind of blank, and then all of a sudden all these different thoughts are running through my head. What the heck are we looking at? And then after just a couple of minutes observing this eye shine that's kind of sitting low, we noticed another set of eye shine, probably about 5 feet to the right of this one. And this one here was about 6 foot tall. Then I'm really scratching my head. You know, here we are, we're on a Bigfoot camping expedition, and you know, look for Bigfoot evidence, looking for, you know, signs of Bigfoot. Now at this time, Bigfoot wasn't even on my mind at this time. It's just blowing my mind. I'm kind of puzzled at this. And again, the small one was estimated about 4 feet tall. The other one, the tallest one, was around 6 feet tall. This is what we were guessing at that time, judging from where we were standing. And again, keep in mind that these two subjects right now we're observing about 30 to 40 feet from where we were standing. Now, not even a minute after observing this 6 foot one, over to the right of it, probably about another between 4, 5, 6 feet, there were some bushes, you know, some trees. And keep in mind, this particular area was pretty thick over here. We noticed another set of eye shine down low, but it didn't stay low. It raised up as if the subject, whatever it was either crouched down or whatever. But when this one raised all the way up, it was towering over top of the 6 foot one, at least by 2 feet. So we got 4 feet, 6 feet. Now we got a set of eye shine that's around 8 feet tall. And I know the bears in the area. There's some big bears in there. I've seen bears in that area. I mean, I'm thinking, what's the odds of these being bear? You know, all standing up. You know, because, you know, the small one was still swaying side to side. It was doing it kind of fast to begin with, and it slowed up. The 6 foot one, we noticed blinking of the eyes on that one. But when this subject here stood up, it easily stood up 8 feet, and we were observing the eyes blinking. All 3 of them had the same color eyes, like large yellowish looking eyes, almost maybe a slight hint of amber or like orange color in it, but they were definitely yellow. All right. This is where it got interesting. Out of all 3 of them, now keep in mind, we're just seeing these eye shine at the different height levels. But on the big one, this is where, for me, it confirmed that, dude, you know, these are squatches. It actually took a whole complete turn, just like as I'm doing here, and took maybe a short step and turned right back. As it did that maneuver, as it maneuvered like that, the large shape of a head and shoulders, you can make out the silhouette of, you know, like broad shoulders and a big round head. Now, I couldn't see details except for the shape and the eye shine. And even my buddy Tracy right there, Tracy lives in Westville, Virginia. He's like, guys, we got squatches. And I'm like, I think so. So it was pretty cool observing this. We had, you know, we were able to make out the silhouette of the large one. Now, after we're all there, you know, the thing is, there were 6 of us all together. I personally, I don't know how the others felt, but I didn't feel scared at nothing. I think it's because, you know, we were together. You know, I think maybe if I was alone and observed this, that might have been a different story. But I didn't feel no fear whatsoever. I was actually pretty calm. The rest of us, we were acting like kids because, you know, we were making sounds and trying to maybe trigger a response. And I don't know, it was exciting because eventually they all actually turned off and went further into the darkness. And you know, it was at night, it was after midnight. And all we had was our headlamps on. Now, after this took place, you know, we went back to camp, and now, when we got back to camp, we were trying to discuss this, what were we seeing. We wanted to confirm, to me, I was pretty sure, you know, that they were squatches after seeing this shape. Well, me and Tracy, you know, we're the only ones that had backpacks on. And one of the things that got brought up when we got back to camp was, wait a minute, we had night vision devices. Both me and him had night vision in our backpacks. Not once did we ever thought about pulling them out to get a better look. You know, because if we did, I'm sure we would have saw details and stuff. I'm looking at all of you guys. So, but, you know, sometimes you're caught up in the moment, there's excitement, and, you know, you just don't know what to do. You know, you're just kind of trying to get the best, you know, observation, you know, that what you try to do. So that was exciting. You know, like I said, we even went back the next day to do a height comparison, and with what we were guessing on the heights that night, and where we had people go down there and, you know, some standing up on the road, we were pretty much on point with the accuracy of the height levels. So yeah, that was one of my encounters, which, you know, till this day, like, you know, I still try to think of other animals, but nothing could compare with what we saw, you know. And then seeing the 8-foot broad shoulders, big round head, you know. The only reason I could think of why we didn't see other details on besides just a shape, they had to have, you know, maybe dark hair or fur themselves. You know, you thought you would, you know, you think you would have saw some kind of shine or reflection off the hair, you know, but none of that was observed. So, but you know, with Bigfoot, you know, my experience with Bigfoot, some of the sounds and vocals, like, you know, John and William talking about the sounds, or, you know, and a lot of these I've experienced, the whoops, you know, and, you know, sometimes you're hearing the tree knocks. Just these little things I compare with primates. When I say primates, non-human primates like apes, like the gorillas, chimpanzees. You know, a lot of people don't believe. You know, everyone has their own opinion, which is fine. But I like to believe that I'm comparing my observations, my experiences with a known species that's known for doing something like this. I'm not calling Bigfoot a gorilla. I'm not calling him whatever. But in my honest opinion, I believe he may be some kind of, you know, unclassified primate. You know, is anyone familiar, or maybe not familiar with Gigantopithecus? You know, Gigantopithecus was a known primate. It was proven to exist, about 12 to 14 feet tall. He was more of along the orangutan side. Like if anyone who's watched the Jungle Book, King Louie, the newest Jungle Book, that there he was a Gigantopithecus. According to science, that's exactly what he looked like, you know, or a type of orangutan. I don't know if he was this just big orangutan that just sat there. It was something that actually, you know, well, some people believe he wasn't bipedal. We don't know all that, but so, you know, think about all the different strains and the breeds of different animals. We got different strains and breeds of horses, dogs, cats, and all these other animals have a different strain related to that. You know, they're like horses, donkeys, zebras, you know, they're all within that category. Why can't Bigfoot be somewhere along that line, you know? Yeah, you know, that's just my opinion. I'm not going to get into a lot of details with that. Because, you know, I'm not always in the woods, you know. I spent years in the woods, ever since I was a kid growing up, you know, just playing in the woods, going hunting with Dad. But, you know, as far as, since I've gotten involved with Bigfoot, I have put more time in the woods. And like I said, I've had a lot of experience with wildlife. But I like to study and research topics and species and read up on different ones. That way you know, it gives me a better insight, a better understanding how they behave. Because when I read about how they behave and how they act, it's like, that's what we're experiencing. That's what we hear. So why can't it be some type of primate, you know? I mean, they leave tracks. It's a physical feature. Now, to us, that's evidence. You know, we collect it. I got a series of tracks. I actually brought a few with me. They're in my vehicle. You know, they've been in there since my last convention. I hold conferences up in Virginia. But, you know, I have a series of, you know, tracks I collected over the years. You know, they're not as good as what you might see on the Finding Bigfoot shows. You know, I kind of suck at casting, but, you know, it's over time you get better at it eventually. But, you know, and it all depends on the terrain and the soil that you find these tracks on. But, so yeah, it's, you know, like I said, I'm not going to get into, you know, part of me wants to get into talking about more of research than my experiences, but I have a lot of other experiences, you know, nothing as cool as what the one I described with the three of them. I've heard large, heavy bipedal steps walk away from me. Like, I'll tell you about this one real quick. 2015, during the hunting season, I was hunting, but I was camping there at the same time. And in this particular area, there was no one else around. And also in the same patch of woods where the 2014 encounter happened, just around the corner. Well, it was probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I had, you know, at the time I had my Chevy Blazer parked there, and I had the fire going, and something told me grab a spotlight, just walk out to the road just for the heck of it. And I walked out to the middle of the forest road. The spotlight was not turned on. I did not turn it on until I got to the middle of the road. And all of a sudden, I decided, you know, pull the trigger on the spotlight and start shining it in the woods. Well, right away, as soon as I started shining it, there was a deer that took off running. I heard the sound of a deer that took off. So, okay. And I continued panning along, and as I got around between the 1 and 2 o'clock position is when I heard something very large just inside the tree line. I didn't see it. I'm only going based off of what I'm hearing, but there was no doubt, no mistaking what I heard. What I heard next was steps, heavy steps just walking away from me. And, you know, I'm sure whatever it was, if it wanted to get me, it would have came probably crashing off through those woods. But whatever it was, walked away from me, and every step was like, you know. So it wasn't a slow walk; it was kind of like that good steady walk. But when I heard that, I was literally walking backwards, reaching out to my hip, you know, unlocking make sure my vehicle was unlocked, just in case, you know. And but like I said, it walked away, and I walked backwards back into the camp. And then I actually eventually calmed down a little bit, but I made that fire a lot bigger too, and kept my shotgun next to me. So I mean, I didn't know, but you know, like I said, it walked away from me. I'm glad that's what happened. And like I said, it was bipedal. You know, there's a lot of bears in the area. My experience with bears, the ones that were close, you know, keep in mind, those who maybe are familiar with bears or hunt bears, they know that, you know, their pads on their feet, when they walk in the woods, they're very soft and quiet. They could actually probably walk up on you, and you will never know it. Bears are very stealthy themselves, so they want to be. So, with what I heard was definitely walking, you know, just like me and you are, and you know, stepping on everything in its path, you know, because like I said, you could hear the weight and you could hear the limb snap as it stepped. So that was 2015. You know, as far as other little experiences I've had tree knocks, you know, responses to my tree knocks, and you know, stuff like that. And it is exciting, you know, especially either if you're by yourself. I mean, I've been with others who's heard this and experienced this with me. But yeah, it's never a dull moment. You know, when I go out in the woods, I go out there not expecting anything. You know, when I tell people, my friends online or whatever, all right, I'm going out squatching, I'm gonna go out squatching. But when I go out there and I don't think about Bigfoot. And I go out there and enjoy myself because I love being out in the woods. I can't get enough of it. When I have the time to do it, I can't get enough of it. That's usually where I spend a lot of my spare time, is in the woods, you know. Due to my job, I drive a lot, you know, and so usually most of the time on the weekends I'm exhausted, you know, and you know, it's hard to get the energy when that's all you do is drive, you know. But like I said, get out in the woods and enjoy yourselves. You know, take your time. You want to see evidence, it's there. Just take your time, be observant, look around, and just enjoy yourselves. That's the main thing. If you ain't enjoying yourselves in the woods, in nature, you don't belong there. Because there's something wrong. So that's enough of my rambling. If you guys have any questions, I'll be more than glad to. Yes.
Tell us the name of your YouTube channel if you have one, and your Facebook channel if you have one.
Okay, my YouTube channel is called Bigfoot Zone with ECBRO in parentheses next to it. Yeah, I'm on Facebook as Daniel Benoit. If you look up ECBRO, I have several pages, different forums. You can't miss me. Let's see, my profile picture ain't looking like this. I usually have like a leather cowboy hat on with no glasses. So, so I'm pretty easy to find. I got some cards. If you guys are interested, I'll give you guys some cards. It'll be easier. It's got my my email, my blog site, and you know, other information on there. So, all right. Anything else? Going once, going twice. All right, I think that's it. Steve?
You kept it going the whole time.